Hello guys, welcome back to Reeks Remote for our Saturday morning functional fitness class. So it's an hour later than we usually run, but we hope you can join us. We hope you've enjoyed the classes so far this week. If there's anything you want us to see in future classes, then just let us know. As always, we'll be we've got a comment box live, so I can see comments as we're going through the class. So if there's anything I'm not explaining properly, let me know, and we can try and adjust it. So equipment-wise, for today's class, as always, we just need some empty space. So make sure if you're in your living room, you've pushed things to the side. You've got about 2 meters of empty space, so you're not going to hit yourself off anything as we go through the class. General structure of today's class: we're going to go through a warm up to begin with. We've then got a bit of a high intensity circuit, and then we're going to finish off with a little mobility routine. To set you up for a weekend, relax, take a day or two off, and then we'll be back on Monday with a class, with some more classes for you to follow along with at home. Right then, if I set the timer up, we'll get into our warm up. It's going to be about 6 minutes. We're going to combine some heart rate raising exercises with some mobilizers. So we're going to start with some jogging on the spot. We're going to go 45 seconds of the exercise with a 10-second rest. 10-second rest. So starting in 10 seconds, guys, we're just going to be jogging on the spot, getting ourselves warm, nothing too intense. Through this 6 minutes, we want to start from sort of a 4 out of 10, and we're going into that jogging on the spot. We want to go from about a 4 out of 10 up to about a 6, 7 out of 10, ready for us to exercise. If you're joining along at home, just drop us a comment, say you're here, let us know who's watching. Nice and light on your feet with this jogging, aiming for your heels not to be touching the floor. Another 15 seconds of this. Go. 5 more seconds, guys. 3, 2, 1. Right then, guys, a little 10-second rest. Get yourself ready for a calf pulse. So into a push-up position. Walk your feet up a little bit so you're making a triangle shape with your body. And then we're just pushing one heel to the floor, getting those calves mobilized. So those of you that tuned in on Wednesday will know, like I said, if you're doing lots of jumping jacks, if you're doing lots of skipping, you've started running a lot more than usual, and those calves and ankles are going to be taking a beating. So it's good to make sure we're getting some extra stretching in them and some extra mobility work in them, especially before we start today. Hello, Charlotte. How are you? You joining in? Right then, guys, another 15 seconds of those. Right, guys, when you finish these, back onto your feet. We're going to do some imaginary skipping. So we're pretending we've got that skipping rope. Perfect. Brilliant. Hello, Yasmin. How are you doing? Right then, guys. So we're getting into that imaginary skipping, pretending we've got that skipping rope. So for those of you that can't skip, it's going to be a little bit easier than usual because you haven't got that. Right then, guys. Gradually ramping that intensity up. So we're going a little bit faster. Keep it going. Another 20 seconds, getting that heart rate up, getting that blood flowing through our muscles, getting us ready to go into a circuit. Five more seconds. There we go, into a push-up position, guys. We're bringing that foot and knee outside our elbow, dropping our hips, dropping our shoulder, and then rotating round on that same side. Back to the start position, alternating left and right, getting those hips opened up and also getting a bit of T-spine rotation in there as well. So alternating left and right, nice and steady tempo through this 45 seconds. Get yourselves warm. Another 15-second, guys. Should be feeling that stretch in the inside of our thigh. aiming to get that foot up as high as we can, and the knee will follow it. Back up on our feet once we've finished that, going back into our classic, our jumping jacks. Those of you that have been following the classes will be familiar with these by now. So we're looking for that jumping jack. 45 seconds. This is our last one now in terms of this real heart rate raiser. So we're looking to get this a little bit faster than that jogging that we were doing 5 minutes ago. 30 more seconds, speeding it up, looking to be nice and light on our feet. We don't want to be hearing heavy contact with the ground. Keeping those heels off the floor. Dance with me. Another 10 seconds. Nice and fast now, speeding it up. And then one more to finish off this warm-up. We're going to go into a reverse lunge with our arms overhead. So feet facing forward underneath our hips, big step back, vertical front shin, and then pointing those fingertips up to the sky, back to that start position. Alternate left and right. Dropping those hips down, stopping that back knee just short of the floor. Trying to get some overhead mobility as well. How you doing? The main circuit for today's class. Oh, right, you might be able to hear me now. We made it about 6 minutes without a technical difficulty. Batteries failed, but that was the end of the warm-up. So grab yourself a drink. We'll have a minute or two rest now, and then we'll get into the main circuit. Welcome back, guys. Sorry about the slight technical difficulty we had there at the end of the warm-up. But you should be feeling nice and warm now. You should have had a quick drink. So it's time to get into our main circuit of today's class. So we're going to basically do a 16-minute circuit where we've got 3 exercises for a minute each, followed by a minute rest. So we've sort of got a 4-minute block straight into another 4-minute block 4 times through. So the first 3 exercises are going to be straight arm down ups. So down into a straight arm position, jumping out into that sort of push-up position, bringing those feet back up to the chest, and then standing straight back up. So we've got a minute of max effort down ups, straight into a minute of body weight squats. So our body weight squat, we want our feet about hip shoulder width apart with a slightly outturned toes. Cover our arms out in front if we want to help counterbalance. And then we're just looking to keep a nice neutral spine and bring those hips as low as we can whilst keeping that spine. So for some of you, you're going to have to just adjust the depth to allow that neutral spine to be maintained. And then our third exercise is going to be a plank. So those of you that did the class on Wednesday night will know we're looking for those elbows to be below the shoulders. We want a nice straight line, ankle through to shoulder, and then we want to maintain that lower back position. We don't want that hyperextended position. We don't want hips up high. We want to pull those hips under towards our rib cage. Then we're going to follow that with a minute rest. Grab yourself a quick drink in that minute rest, and then I will also be going through the next 3 exercises, so sort of keep an ear out for that as we go through. So we're on a 16-minute rolling clock in essence. Right then, guys, I will set up the timer now. We'll be going in 10 seconds, starting with those straight arm down ups. Starting in 10 seconds, so straight arm down ups there. Max effort for a minute. Going now straight into it. As many as you can in that minute. Nice soft foot contact. We don't want to be slamming our joints about. So it's a straight arm down up. So we don't need that jump and we don't need the chest to the floor. So that's just how it's going to differ from a burpee. Hello, Frankie. How you doing, mate? Enjoying today's class? Another 25 seconds, straight arm down ups. When this minute's up, we're going straight into a minute of body weight squats. So 5 more seconds on these down ups. 3, 2, 1. Right, guys, straight into your body weight squats. As many as you can in this minute. Nice full extension, straight legs at the top, and then straight back down. In terms of your feet, you're looking for that tripod weight distribution. So bottom of your big toe, bottom of your little toe, and your heel. At the bottom of the squat, we don't want to be coming up onto our toes. If anything, we want that weight slightly shifted back towards the heel. So it's nice, stable feet, pretending they're stuck in cement. And we're just getting as many reps done in the minute as we can. Halfway through, 25 seconds left. Keep repping them out. Quads should be starting to feel it. If we can, we want to be going unbroken through the minute. So just nice, consistent pace. 5 more seconds of squats, and then we're into a minute plank if possible. So we're looking for a max hold here. But again, we want quality over quantity. We want those feet about hip width apart. A nice neutral spine. Pull those hips under towards your ribs. Squeezing those glutes, squeezing your abs. And there should be no rocking, no up or down movement with the hips. Everything should be nice and stable. A mistake you often see with the plank is people will get their elbows way too far out in front relative to their shoulder. So just make sure your elbows are directly below your shoulders in that setup position. Another 20 seconds if we can. Holding a good position. You should be able to feel if your lower back starts moving or your hips start moving, and just adjust if you can. 10 more seconds, and then we're just going to grab a quick drink, have a minute rest, and I'll go through the exercises for the next 3. There you go, guys. So we've done sort of set one, as it were. Grab yourself that quick drink. And then our next 3 exercises are going to be... People can hear me. Yeah. So the next 3 exercises are going to be some squat jumps. So we're taking that body weight squat into a more sort of plyometric version. So a squat jump. So we're looking for soft contacts, as Sam emphasised when he did Jump Fit on Tuesday night. We want that good landing position where we've got a nice straight line, ankle, knee, and hip. A nice soft landing position. So we're going to have a minute of those. We want our arms to be moving in the same direction as we're traveling. So that's a mistake you'll often see with the squat jump. Minute 2 of this cycle is going to be a push-up. So if we can, full body weight push-up, nice straight line, ankle through to shoulder, keeping about a 45-degree angle from our elbows to our torso. And then the 3rd minute is going to be some shoulder taps for our core exercise. So we're looking to keep that belt buckle facing the floor. And we're going straight into those squat jumps now, guys. So nice and rhythmical, looking for that full minute, nice tall hips at the top of each jump, getting those arms moving in the same direction we're traveling. So if you think people doing standing long jumps, anything like that, the last thing they're going to want is their hands going in the opposite direction. We want to get that force transference from the lower body through to the upper body to get that max effort. So we're looking for a nice steady pace for the minute here. Shouldn't be able to hear you land. So if you're in an apartment, your neighbours underneath shouldn't be able to hear heavy contact on the floor. It should be nice and soft. Should be absorbing that force and minimising any jarring through your joints, particularly ankles and knees. Okay. I'm knackered. 3. So go straight into push-ups now for minute 2. If you need to, you can come down onto your knees for this one. Try and keep that straight line, ankle through to shoulder if you are in the knee variation. So the mistake you see a lot of people will do is they'll start going into this sort of position, which in no way mimics what an actual push-up should look like. So if you're on your knees, try and keep those shoulders above your hips. And if you're in that full position, we want to keep those elbows tucked close to our body. We don't want to be out there because we're just putting unnecessary strain through our shoulders. So that 45-degree angle between our elbow and our torso is what we're looking for as we're doing these. Looking to sort of get our nose to about the floor, pushing straight back up. So looking for our whole body to move as one through this exercise. It's a mistake you'll see a lot of people who are struggling strength-wise. Their upper body will just start to sort of kip at the bottom to get them going back up. Another 7 seconds of these, and then we're into our shoulder taps to finish off this little sequence. So shoulder taps, top of that push-up position, belt buckle facing the floor, touching hand onto opposite shoulder whilst trying to minimise any rotation through the hips. So same as when we're doing our plank, we want to sort of pull the hips under towards the ribs, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abs, keep that nice and strong through that midline, and then just touching opposite hand to shoulder without rotating through our hips. Obviously, the wider you go with your hand placement with this, the tougher it's going to be. Another 25 seconds on this one. Be strict with these. We want quality over quantity. So we're getting some anti-rotation and anti-extension work through our core. Doing some shoulder taps. Another few seconds, and then we're into a minute rest. You've got a chance to grab yourself a quick drink, and I'll go through the exercises in the next 3. There you go, guys. Onto a minute rest, grab yourself a quick drink. Next 3, we're going to be burpee, so the full version now of the down up. So we're going from that sort of stood up position, down onto our chest, bring the feet back up, and then a little jump if you can, if your ceiling height allows it. So that's our burpees for minute 1. Minute 2 is going to be some reverse lunges. So taking that exercise we did in the warm-up now into the main session. Feet facing forward, a step back, dropping your hips down, 90-degree angle at that front shin, stepping back to the middle, and we're alternating left and right. So some of you will find this a bit of a challenge stability-wise. And then for our 3rd minute, we're going to go 30-second side plank on the left-hand side into 30-second side plank on the right-hand side. So side plank, straight line ankle through to shoulder, pushing those hips up, stacking everything on top of everything else. So we'll go 30 seconds there, and then we'll literally go swivel around straight into 30 seconds on the right. So starting with burpees for this first minute, chest down to the floor, little jump at the top. Nice soft movements here. Again, we don't want to be slamming our joints about. We want to minimize any impact to the joints as we're going along with these. Another 30 seconds, halfway there, guys. I'm knackered after 30 seconds, but see how many you can get through in the minute. Get Sam back your mean well. Sam's in bed. Well, he said he's following along. Right, guys, into your reverse lunges. Feet facing forward, stepping back, pushing through that front heel as we alternate left and right. Looking to keep everything nice and neutral, facing forward if possible. We want to step back in a straight line. Dropping those hips so that back knee is just short of the floor. Almost halfway there. Try and minimize any wobbles. Again, looking at the technique we did with our feet when we were squatting, it becomes even more important now in a single leg variation where we want that weight distribution nice and stable, giving us that tripod effect through that front foot. Oh. 10 more seconds, guys. And then into that side plank on that left-hand side. So into that side plank, nice straight line, ankle through to shoulder, elbows directly below your shoulder, and then you're pushing those hips up. So you're keeping that nice straight position. Stacking your ankle above your ankle, hip above your hip, and shoulder above your shoulder. So resisting that drop of the hips there. I think we need some video evidence of that, Sam, if you're smashing it. We can see that on your Instagram story. So switching over, guys, switching over into that side plank on the right-hand side now. Everything applies the same as we just did. Nice straight line, ankle through to shoulder, resisting any movement. So we talked about the other day, we want that core to get good at resisting motion, not creating it. Another 5 seconds, then we've got a minute rest. 3, 2, 1. Well done, guys. Grab a quick drink. And then our last 3 exercises is going to be some lateral jumps. So those of you that did jump fit on Tuesday will be familiar with these. So we're jumping side to side. A jump means 2 feet. So we're taking off and landing with 2 feet. Nice tall hips at the top of the jump, a nice soft landing, and my feet always staying about hip width apart. Second one of this sequence is going to be some YTWs. So we want to counteract the push-ups we've just done with some upper back work. So we're lying face down, Y position, T position, W position. So we're tracing the shapes of those letters, getting our upper back muscles fired up. And then the last one is going to be a mountain climber. So we're going to try and do these strict. So obviously often you'll see them done at a fairly fast pace in the warm-up. But for this, we want to try and resist any movement. So from that push-up position, we bring that knee up to our chest, and we shouldn't see any other movement through our spine. So we really want a big core emphasis on it. Right then, guys, into those lateral jumps, feet facing forward, side to side jumps. Don't have to be too far. We'd rather just have some good technique, nice and soft, nice and smooth as we land. We want to cushion that jump by lowering our center of mass, allowing our knees to bend. And we always want to keep these feet forward facing, about hip width apart. So my feet shouldn't really be changing in relation to one another as we go through this sequence. And again, same as your squat jumps, we want these arms to move in the same direction our body's moving. Oh, another 25 seconds. Nice and soft, nice and smooth with these jumps. 15 more seconds. Five more seconds that we're laying on our front for our YTWs. There we go, laying on our front, tracing the shapes of these letters, Y, T, and W, getting our upper back, working our Y position, palms facing forward, come to our T position, hands are in line with shoulders with our palms facing down, and then we pull those elbows in for our W position. We're just going to move through that. Should start feeling those rhomboids between your shoulder blades. Oh, starting to burn as you get through this minute set. Nice sort of steady control movements here, counteracting all the push-ups we did in the last set. 20 more seconds. Ten more seconds, then we've just got one more exercise of this circuit, which is going to be a minute of mountain climbers to finish with. 3, 2, 1. So into this push-up position, drawing that knee up to your chest. The goal here is that straight line from ankle to shoulder and resisting any extra movement through that spine. So we don't want to be dropping, we don't want to be bringing it up, we don't want to be twisting. We want to keep everything nice and still, except that knee that is moving. Oh my God. Another 30 seconds, guys. So this one's really got a big emphasis on quality, not quantity. So it's just slightly differing the intention of the exercise compared to when we use it in a warm-up. It's a nice way to get that anti-rotation of the core, combining with that anti-extension similar to a shoulder tap. 7 more seconds, then we're into a rest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, guys. Grab yourselves a drink. We'll have a minute or two rest now.
Can't hold back your light and expect to win. Gotta go harder. Oh, you've gotta learn. Don't suppress your fire, baby, let it burn. Nobody can take that away from you. Oh, straight from the heart. No playing games. You gotta be true, true, true. You gotta be. Sometimes it's gonna hurt, baby. Just let your tears fall down. No need to worry about tomorrow, baby. Cause you got time to figure it out.
I see a day to see a job is what it made to me. Freaking bravery, she gets mine to slavery. 9 to 5, grind and strive, fucking nigga pay me less. And pay my bills at minimal, but she can pay me stress. Doing this, doing that, and turn around and scold you true. How I did it wrong when I just did it like you told me to. I can't do it again. That's what I be really thinking, yes sir.
Well then, guys, how did everyone find that circuit? Was it too easy? Was it too hard? Was it about right? I'm still waiting to see if Sam's put it on his story. Still waiting. Oh, he has. He has just put something on his story, so we'll see if he's actually doing it. See if he is smashing it like he says. So that was a circuit complete. We're now going to do about a 10-minute mobility sequence to finish with. So obviously the class on Wednesday night was completely focused on mobility. This one is sort of a full body cool down sequence that we'll just go through now for about 10 minutes, and then we're done for the weekend, ready to enjoy it. So we're going to go basically 45 seconds of the exercise with a 10-second gap in between, which should give me a chance to sort of flow from one to the other and explain to you the positions we're looking for. As I said on Wednesday night, some of you are going to be more mobile than me, so you're going to be able to get into better positions than I can, and some of you are going to be less mobile. You just want to be looking for that sort of 7 out of 10 intensity level when it comes to these positions, these stretches. We don't want to go into any positions our body doesn't really want to get into. We just need to feel it out and try and sort of follow along as best you can. Let us know how you're getting on in the comments. If there's anything I'm not explained, I'm not showing properly, we can just adjust it as we go along. So the first one we're going to be looking at is sort of a calf hamstring stretch, somewhat of a downward dog position. Alex, if you're watching along, you'll be able to tell me a bit more about the yoga positions than I can. So we're going to start in a quadruped position where we've got hands below shoulders, knees below hips. And then from there, we're looking to straighten our legs and get our hips up to the sky. So coming onto the balls of our feet, we're then going to feel a big stretch through calf, through hamstring. We can then play around with that position to see where we most feel it. And then if we start sort of lowering our chest to the floor and really pushing those hips up to the ceiling, we get into a much more of a sort of hamstring stretch. So I'll set the timer. So we're going to have a 10-second countdown, and then we'll be going into 45 seconds of that stretch. So if you didn't catch it first time round, hands below shoulders, knees below hips, that's our quadruped position. And then from there, we're straightening our legs up, pushing our hips to the sky, and feeling a big stretch through calf, through hamstring. Nice deep breaths as we're doing these stretches, sinking that chest to the floor. Should be feeling that in the calf, in that hamstring. Sort of stop your leg getting completely locked out and then just try and push your hips up to the ceiling. Should feel like a little bit more hamstring. But for most of you, it's going to be calf. That's going to be the limiting factor in a lot of these, just from all that skipping, all those jumping jacks, all the running. Another 7 seconds on this one, guys. Nice deep breaths. So coming from this position down onto the floor, we're going to sit back. We want to get our knees as far apart as we can whilst keeping sort of the soles of our feet touching. We're then going to sink our hips back. Should feel a big stretch through this adductor. We can reach out with our hands so our arms are nice and straight, and we can sink that chest to the floor as we're doing it. So we're going to get a bit of a thoracic stretch and also a big adductor stretch. Into that position there, reaching out, sinking that chest to the floor, trying to get those knees as far apart as we can. Should be feeling that on the inside of the thigh. Nice deep breaths every time you exhale, just trying to sink those that chest a little bit closer to the floor. Play around with that hip position, get into somewhere, hold it a little bit higher. A couple more seconds on this one. Then we're spinning around, got our feet out in front of us, feet just wider than our hips, and then we're looking to rotate to our right-hand side, keeping that chest facing forward. So we've got a 90-degree angle at both knees, and then we're just going to move from one to the other for this 45-second block. So getting some internal rotation, some external rotation at the hip. Spend a couple of seconds in that position, trying to get those knees touching the floor if you can, whilst keeping that chest facing forward. Using the camera there just to correct my technique. Another 20 seconds. Nice, slow, controlled movement. Getting those hips moving through that full range of internal, external rotation. Another 5 seconds of these. So now, guys, we're going to go into a nice long lunge position. Where that angle's quite big at the knee at the back. And then from there, we're going to reach forward, put our hands either side of that front knee, keep that chest in contact with the leg as much as we can, as we then sit back, getting a big stretch down that hamstring, trying to keep in contact between the chest and the foot. And we're just going to move from this position, this leaning forward position, into this sitting back position. pointing those toes up to the ceiling, pulling them towards my shin. Should be getting a big stretch down this right hamstring. If some of you did this left foot forward, that's no worries. Just stay in that position for the following stretch as well. So we're really trying to get this hamstring working, pulling these toes up to our chest, up to the ceiling. Straightening this leg as much as we can. Another couple of seconds. We're going to stay in this position. We're going to step that back knee back a little bit further onto our toes, onto the ball of feet, that back knee. And we're going to lean forward and get this stretch through this back hip. And then from that position, we're going to support ourselves on our hand and we're going to try and straighten our back leg whilst keeping our hip nice and low to the floor. So squeeze that back glute to straighten that leg whilst keeping that hip nice and low. So we should be lifting that knee a couple of centimeters off the floor as we do that. Hold this position for a couple of seconds. Should be a pretty deep, intense stretch through that back hip flexor now. And then just straighten that leg up. Nice deep breaths throughout all these stretches. Going from that sort of high intensity, high heart rate circuit, we just want to try and switch on our parasympathetic nervous system now. Some deep breaths, calm everything down. A couple more seconds of these. And then we're going to switch legs. So if you had right leg forward, now we want to go left leg forward. If you had left leg forward, you now want to go right leg forward. So we go back into these kneeling hamstring rocks. So we're going to go chest close to our thigh and then sitting back, keeping that chest in contact with your leg as long as you can. Those of you watching me do it will see my left side a lot tighter than my right, and my right isn't that good to begin with. So we're just alternating between sitting forward and then sitting back, pulling those toes up to the ceiling, straightening that leg as best we can, getting that stretch down that hamstring as we do so. Just using those hands to support us wherever feels comfortable. A couple more seconds of these. Another 5. Pull those toes up to the ceiling. Now we're pushing that back knee a little bit further back again. And then we're looking to get that deep hip flexor stretch. So supporting ourselves, we're then just going to look to straighten that back leg whilst keeping our hips low. We don't want to come up and do that. We want to keep those hips nice and low to the floor and just try and straighten that leg by squeezing that back glute. You should be feeling that through the hip flexors of that back leg. Another 20 seconds here, guys. Squeezing that back knee, feeling that stretch through the hip flexor, holding each sort of contraction for 2 or 3 seconds, and then just lowering that knee back to the floor before repeating. There we go, guys. Coming back to our quadruped position, so hands below shoulders, knees below hips. We're now going to reach under and across with our right hand, bending at that front elbow, and then we're just going to hold that position there, trying to reach as far as we can. Nice deep breaths, keep those hips nice and high. Try and generate that rotation just from our thoracics, our mid upper back, reaching across as far as we can. Nice deep breaths as we do this. Should be feeling that through sort of lat, posterior shoulder, just trying to reach a little bit further as we go through the time period. 15 seconds more. Another 5 seconds. Coming back to that quadruped position, so both hands are forward, and now we're going to reach through with that left hand, bend that right elbow, and just try and reach as far as we can, keeping that straight hand. Like I say, you should be feeling this on the back of that shoulder as we reach through. Another 15 seconds or so, reaching through. 3, 2, 1. If you got overhead camera. So if we now finish by looking at our shoulders, we want to line our side, bring our knee across, have our hand out in line with our shoulder, and then we're just looking to trace our fingers round. Trace our fingers around as far as we can in that windmill type shape. Once we get to about in line with our shoulder, we can bring them back, looking to keep those fingertips in contact with the floor at all times if we can. Nice and slow. If you find any sticking points, just sort of spend a bit of time there and then just sort of come through it and then complete the movement. So if we do this all on our right side, 10 more seconds left. Tracing round in that windmill shape. Another 5 seconds. And then spinning over to your left-hand side to line on your right-hand side. Your left knee's up in line with your hip. Your right hand's out in line with your shoulder. And then your left hand's going to trace that shape round. Like so. Nice, slow, deliberate movements with these. As we've worked some sort of calf, hip, spine, shoulder. It's worked our way up the body in this cool down sequence. Another 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. There we go, guys. That ends the mobility sequence. So grab yourself a little drink if you need one. And that also ends the class. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any feedback, let us know in the comments. Or obviously just can direct message us. If you have any questions, again, like I say, drop us a DM. Happy to answer them. In terms of the timetable for next week, get yourself on the Rigs Remote Facebook group or give us a follow on Instagram to sort of get the first look at when we're going to be having the classes. If there's any classes you want, we've got a poll on the Facebook group at the minute. So if there's any specific classes you want more of, just let us know, vote, drop us a message, whatever it is, whatever you find best. Hope you enjoyed it. That is it for this week's Rigs Remote classes. See you guys next week.
Yeah.